The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the producers and the individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff of the Sun Prairie Media Center, its members or underwriters, the board members of the Media Center Commission, Charter Communications, TDS Telecom, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Welcome to Simply Fun Cooking. I'm your host, Rachel Hanson. I'm really excited that you are here today. I am in the mood for some desserts, and so we are going to make some desserts today, turn you all into dessert divas. The holidays are coming. It is the time where we start thinking about bringing dishes to pass to different events, inviting people over, and you always want a little something special to share with your family and friends. And so I thought today I would show you guys 3 simple but really fun desserts that you guys can make and wow your family and friends. So we are going to start off today with a chocolate cherry skillet cake. So for this chocolate cherry skillet cake, we have a nice big 12-inch skillet, and we just melted 2 tablespoons of butter in there. You can see I've got a nice coating of the butter on the bottom. And then we're just going to make up a box of chocolate cake mix, whatever kind you like. If you have a from-scratch recipe that you like for your cake mix, then that's great. If you want to pick out something gluten-free, you want to pick out a box from the shelf, any sort of chocolate cake mix. All right? I'm going simple today with the package from the store. So we're just mixing it up just as the package states. So mine has butter. You might have oil instead of your butter, but I have some eggs, a little bit of water, and we're just going to mix this up, okay? Now, we are going to then add some cherries. I just have some frozen cherries. You need 2 12-ounce packages. And in the cake mix, we're going to mix half of one of those packages, so about 6 ounces of cherries. All right? And the other half we're going to use in our sauce later. Now, the other full package is going to go right into our sauce to get us started. We're going to be making the sauce in the deluxe cooking blender using the jam setting. And we'll show you that in just a second. Really simple. We're just going to put some water and some cherries in there and let it get started. And then later, when it's time to add, once it brings everything up to temperature, we're going to add some sugar, some cornstarch, and a few more frozen cherries. That'll give us a nice chunky cherry sauce at the end. So, mixing up our cake here. Once we have this all mixed, I'm just going to pour this in the pan, and it's going to go in the oven at 350 for about 30 to 35 minutes. Now, keep your nose open, because when you're baking with chocolate, as soon as you can start to smell the chocolate, you know it's done. So, doesn't really matter what the package says, just make sure you're paying attention and smelling for that chocolate to be done. And here's a little tip for you guys when you're baking. You may have seen like pancake batter, they always tell you to keep it kind of lumpy. And when you have a lumpy batter, what that does is it helps to make your baked goods nice and light and fluffy. When it's lumpy, you have little pockets of flour in there that have not dissolved. And as your dish is baking, moisture is rising up through your cake or your pancake or your muffin or your brownie, and it's rising up through there, and it dissolves those little pockets of flour, and then you're left with little air bubbles. So that is a fun little science cooking tip for you. Oh, almost forgot our cherries. Put half a package of cherries in there. So that's how you get light, fluffy baked goods. And that's also why I'm using a scraper to mix in my batter. I use the whisk to get the eggs going to begin with, but then I like to switch to the scraper so I don't break up too many of those little bubbles. You can see I've got nice lumps in there. In amongst the cherries, I've got some nice lumps. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and put this batter right into our skillet. And we'll even it out here. And then we're going to throw the skillet right in the oven. Love that these are oven safe. You get a nice, big, round, flat cake. All right. All right, so I'm just going to kind of spread this around a little bit. Nice even layer in the bottom of our pan there. All right, we're going to pop this in the oven at 350 for about 30 to 35 minutes. And of course, I love this pan. The handle will pop right off, so when it's time to take it out of the oven, I'm not going to accidentally grab a hot handle and burn myself. So I'm going to throw this in. All right, now we're going to get our sauce started. Now the sauce is super easy. Like I mentioned, in the Deluxe Cooking Blender, we are going to be using the jam setting. All we need to get started is 1/4 of a cup of water and 12-ounce package of those cherries. We're going to go ahead and put the lid on, and we're going to turn it to jam. Now this is going to bring it up to 220 degrees. It's going to take a little while, right, because they're frozen cherries. All right, so it's periodically going to mix like that, and it's going to bring it up to temperature, make a nice little puree for us. Like I said, it's going to beep when it gets there, and that's when we'll add the sugar, the cornstarch, a little salt, and some more cherries. So we're going to set that aside, and while that's going, we're going to get set up for our next dessert. While our chocolate cherry cake is baking and our cherry sauce is cooking away, we are going to make a quick cooker pumpkin cream cheese bundt cake. So excited for this. So we're going to make it in our quick cooker with this adorable new bundt cake pan that we have. And it has a couple of layers. So we're going to start out here, and we're going to make our cake layer. We just need a little bit of oil, about 2 tablespoons of oil, an egg, and we'll start out with 1/2 of a cup of pumpkin. All right, we're going to whisk that together a little bit. And to that we're going to add about 1/2 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, an 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1.5 cups of yellow cake mix. Now it's not a whole package because we're making a small bundt. All right, so 1.5 cups. All right, we'll go ahead and mix that together. I love pumpkin for the fall. This is going to make a great recipe for Thanksgiving. It'll even be fun for a Halloween party. I mean, there's so many different ways that we can use this. All right, so we're going to set this aside, and we're going to get our cream cheese filling ready. For the cream cheese filling, we just have a block of cream cheese, softened. You can throw it in the microwave for a few seconds if you need it a little softer. We're going to add a splash of vanilla, like a teaspoon or so, and 1/3 of a cup of sugar. Just go ahead and give that a nice mix. All right. We'll get our mini bundt pan all ready to go. And to get that ready, we're just going to put a splash of oil in there and brush it around with our basting brush. Now we're going to make this cake in layers. So after you have it all brushed with oil, you're going to take your first layer with that pumpkin cake mix here. And we're just going to put a little bit around in a circle. Okay. Just kind of spread that around a little bit. All right, so you can see we've got our first layer in there. And then we're going to put our filling in. So again, just kind of go around the circle here and add that filling. Now after this is done baking, we're going to make a nice frosting that we're going to drizzle over the top. But we'll make that later when this comes out. And you want to be kind of gentle to make sure that your layers don't mix in too much. But you also want to try to make sure you have a nice even layer on top. Now it may look like these layers are uneven, right? Because you've got, it just seems like a lot of filling compared to your cake. But remember, that cake's going to rise a bit as it's cooking. So we'll be all right. All right. So for the quick cooker, we do have our stand in the bottom. We're going to add a cup of water. Remember, that's what we need for steaming. The pressure cooker cooks with steam. So that's our cup of water is going to help us cook. And we just lower our cake pan right in there. See, it's got a nice little handle with it, too. Comes right off that little stand. Makes it really easy to throw in there. All right, so now we're going to turn this. We're going to hit custom, and we're going to change the time to 20 minutes and press start. And that's all we need to do. Just make sure it's all closed up. It'll come up to pressure. It'll cook for us. It'll beep when it's ready. And then we'll take it out, let it cool a little bit, flip it onto a cake stand, and we'll make that nice frosting to drizzle over the top. All right, our blender just beeped. It has brought it up to temperature. And now it's flashing the word add. Super simple. So now all we're going to do is we're just going to take this top off here. Whoa, look at that steam. You guys see all that steam coming out? It really does have a heating element. It really is heating this up for us. So now we're going to add half of a cup of sugar. And a tablespoon of cornstarch. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Some more of that cornstarch out. There we go. And then the rest of those cherries that we didn't use in the cake. So it's another 6 ounces of cherries. These ones are not going to get as blended up as the other ones that we have. So make sure all that sugar's in there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this top right back on here. And we hit the button to start it up again. This is going to finish up our sauce, and then we'll be ready to pour this on top of our cake. Our cake is out, and it is cooling. Let me show you what it looks like. Let me grab my handle. Look at that. You can see it's pulling away from the sides of the pan already. I love this pan, perfect for baking. We've got nice little pockets of cherries in there. And as soon as our sauce is done, like I said, we'll flip this out on the platter. We'll get that sauce on top, and it'll be so good. All right, so we're just going to send our blender off to the side again, and we're going to get ready for some peanut butter and chocolate mousse cups. All right, so for our peanut butter and chocolate mousse cups, we are going to start by making the batter. Now for this, we need 1 1/4 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a teaspoon of salt. these ingredients, these dry ingredients, we're just going to kind of mix together. We're going to set them aside for a moment. All right. And then in our 3-cup silicone prep bowl, we are going to mix together just a stick of butter, 1 cup of brown sugar, and then half of a cup of creamy peanut butter. All right, we're going to throw this mix in the microwave just for about a minute, just to get that peanut butter and the butter melted so we can mix this all together. All right, so we just melt this in the microwave just a little bit, just to get these ingredients all mixed together. All right. Now, really fun thing we're going to play with today is the batter mixer and dispenser. This is perfect because this recipe is going to be made in our brownie pan. And so this is going to allow us to make every single little brownie the exact same size. So here's how it works. Make sure we have the bottom cover on, all right? And we're going to add in here our peanut butter mix. And then we're going to add 2 eggs. All right, so we've got our peanut butter mixture, we've got 2 eggs, and we just go ahead and put the top right on like this, and we're going to mix those together. All right, so now that our eggs are all whipped together, we're going to add our dry ingredients. All right, so there's our flour, baking powder, and salt mix. We're just going to add that all on top. All right, then we bring the paddle to the top here. Look at that. You see our nice batter all mixed up, ready to go? And then we're going to put this little piece on right here like this. And now we'll turn this to the middle button for dispensing, because it can dispense 2, 3, or 4 tablespoons. So we're going to set it right like that, set it aside here, and get our pan all ready to go. All right, so we're going to get our brownie pan ready. Just a little bit of oil in some of those wells. Take that basting brush again and just kind of oil it up. So now all we need to do is we take the bottom off of here and we're going to pull the handle to fill our wells. I'm just going to take the scraper and just kind of press them down a little bit, just to even out the batter in there. And then we're going to throw these in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes. And while they're baking, we're going to make the mousse filling. We're going to check on our bundt cake, and then I'll tell you what we do next to turn these into nice little mousse cups. Quick cooker is done. We're going to go ahead and release the steam here, and we're going to take our bundt cake out. We're going to let it rest for a few minutes. All right, we're going to let this rest before we flip it over on to our cake stand. All right, for our chocolate mousse, we're going to start by making some whipped cream. So in our whipped cream maker, we fill to the line with whipping cream. Add in a splash of vanilla and a couple tablespoons of powdered sugar. I like to do a couple heaping tablespoons. I like it nice and sweet. All right, we'll go ahead and put the top on. And we'll pump for about 30 seconds until we get nice whipped cream. Now, you got to be careful. If you go too long, you end up with butter. And you also have to kind of keep an eye and see how thick of whipped cream you want. Sometimes, depending on what you're making, you might want a little bit thinner whipped cream to just kind of dollop on top. But we want it nice and thick so we can make this mousse. So I'm going to be watching down here. I'm going to be watching down here for some bubbles as I'm pumping. And when you start seeing some air bubbles, you know we're getting close. But it's also good to kind of take off the top and look once in a while. All right, there we go. Nice, stiff whipped cream. Okay, so 30 seconds in the whipped cream maker. There we go. I have a cup of chocolate chips here. I just melted them quickly in the microwave in 30-second bursts, stirring in between. And we're going to take this melted chocolate and put it in a bowl. A little bit bigger bowl here. And we're going to add about 3/4 of a cup of Greek yogurt. That's just one little container. We're going to whisk those together. Now we're going to fold in our whipped cream. Grab a little bit bigger spatula for that. Now when you fold, we want to try to keep the nice light fluffiness of our whipped cream. So folding is gently mixing. So we'll get all this in here. And then we're literally, it's just, fold is the perfect term because you just kind of lift it up, plop it over. So we just very gently mix that chocolate and Greek yogurt mix in with our whipped cream until we get a nice consistent color. And then you know that it's mixed. Now this we're going to put into one of our decorating bags, and we're going to fill our little peanut butter cups with this nice, light, fluffy chocolate mousse. All right, I'm going to set this in the fridge for a few minutes. We're going to get that icing made for our Bundt cake, and then we'll flip that over and put the icing on and see how it looks. All right, so for our icing, we've got 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar and 1 tablespoon of milk. You can add more if you need, but we're going to start with that and just mix. So now we're going to take our little pumpkin cream cheese Bundt cake. We're just going to kind of make sure that the sides are nice and loose. Take the cake tester and releasing tool and just kind of go around. We'll take this off of that stand, and we're going to flip it on to our cake stand. Look at that. Isn't that adorable? All right, so now we can take our icing and we'll just drizzle it over the top. And then it's going to be time to check on our peanut butter cups. So we're going to go ahead and set this aside. I'm going to grab those cups out of the oven, and we're going to get those ready. Ready for the fun part? We're going to make sure, like I said, this cake's already pulled away from the sides of the pan here. But I always like to just run the releasing tool around just to make sure. All right, pan's nice and cool to the touch now, so we can just take that handle off. We're going to take our platter and flip. Did you hear that? Look at that. This is why I love our cookware, guys. Check that out. All right, so now we have our chocolate cherry cake, all right? And we've got our cherry sauce. Ooh, it's hot, it's steamy. I'm so excited for this. So we're just going to pour some of this sauce on top, and we're just going to let some of that sauce soak right into that cake before we slice it and serve it. Doesn't that look amazing? All right, now we're going to set this aside. It is time to make those little boats out of our peanut butter cups and put the filling inside. So now we're going to take brand new boat press here, and we're just going to press this in to each of our little peanut butter cups that we made. And that's going to leave a nice well. And this is what we're going to put our chocolate mousse filling in. All right, so then of course we're going to take our our little releaser tool and go around. Look at these. These just pop right out. We're going to pop these out, and we're just going to throw them on our serving platter. We're going to take our cake decorating bag. Now I have the large bag here with the large tip, and I put the star tip on there, and I'll show you that in a second. We're going to fill it with the chocolate mousse and just give it a nice swirl inside each of these little cups. All right, so now you'll notice, see, we've got that star tip on there that'll give us this nice little design when we fill our mousse cups. So we're just going to take our mousse that we made, and we're going to throw it into our cake decorating bag. Just kind of periodically lift up, tap it down a little bit. Now you're going to want to work fast at this point, right? Because we've got that mousse in there, it's got the whipped cream. We don't want it to melt in our hands. We don't want it to get too warm. So we're going to work kind of fast once we get this all filled up and we go to fill our cups. But don't let that scare you. It's a pretty fast process anyway. A Twix-It clip is perfect for closing up that bag. And then we're just going to gently squeeze and give it a little swirl. But here we have our nice little peanut butter and chocolate mousse cups. All right, so let's check out all of our recipes together. Check it out. Oh my gosh, look at these desserts. They were so simple. They were so fun to make. They came together so quickly. Look at this. All right, so we've got the pumpkin and cream cheese Bundt cake. We made this right in the quick cooker. Just threw it in there, pressed the button, walked away. That simple icing that we drizzled on top. Look at how beautiful that looks, right? We've got our cherry chocolate skillet cake. Oh, that chocolate and that cherry, it's such a great combination. I can't wait to cut into that. And then these peanut butter with chocolate mousse cups. So simple, but they look so fancy. Like these are going to be really, really fun to take and share. And I love that since we made them into little cups, little boats, that mousse is not going to fall off the top, right? It's going to sit right in that cup and stay there. So let's go ahead and cut up this cake. Oh, I can't wait to dig in. Get a slice of that. Look at this sauce. Yum. We'll get a slice of that on our plate here. And our Bundt cake. Look at that nice layer we have in there. Throw a piece of that on here. And then, of course, one of our peanut butter chocolate mousse cups. So there you have it. Some really fun and simple recipes for the holiday season when you need a great dessert to bring for a get-together, for your gathering. Some really great options. So if you would like to get these recipes, if you'd like more information about the recipes or any of the products that we use today, head on over to pamperedchef.com. You can search for me, Rachel Hanson, or your local Pampered Chef consultant. And I want to say thank you to Sunshine Supper for letting us use their kitchen. As always, it's a wonderful space, and we thank you so much. And for those of you who are in Sun Prairie, you should come on out on a Monday night for a free dinner right here. All right. Bon appetit, guys. We'll see you next time.